A 29-year-old Valley man was killed when he was punched outside a bar in Old Town Scottsdale. This happened early on October 11th near First Avenue and Scottsdale Road, outside a very popular bar, just after those bars closed for the night.
5 people have been arrested and 1 man is now facing second-degree murder charges. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono is in Scottsdale with what we're learning about the deadly night out.
Police say it all happened right here. The victim and his 2 friends were walking away from the 5 suspects after a verbal altercation when one of the suspects blindsided him and punched him from behind. Tragedy in Old Town Scottsdale after a deadly assault.
Drew Meneses.
Police say this is the prime suspect, 24-year-old Drew Meneses, and he's accused of punching 29-year-old TJ Pizzatola from behind, a punch that would kill him.
What you can see is victim number 1 standing with his arms to his side, and you can see the defendant in front of us today walk up behind him and essentially what we refer to as sucker punched him in the head. That one punch caused the victim to have a brain injury so severe that he went down completely unconscious and never recovered.
Police say it happened in the early morning hours of October 11th. Just after 2 a.m., the victim and his 2 friends were waiting for their Uber. It started to rain, so others waiting to be picked up near Patty's First Avenue Lounge were huddled beneath an awning. Records say one of the victim's friends mistakenly bumped into a woman, 27-year-old Krista Molina, as they walked toward their pickup spot, prompting her to start yelling at them. They walked away, and Molina and 4 of her male friends followed them. When they walked into a parking lot next door, police say Meneses blindsided and punched Pizzatola in the head and neck, causing him to fall forward to the ground. As he lay unconscious, records say Meneses and his 3 co-defendants, Julius Husser, Tony Becker, and Mark Whitford, began attacking the victim's 2 other friends.
These men are having this fight over the victim who was lying on the ground rather than getting that victim help.
The suspects fled the scene as Pizzatola was rushed to the hospital where he later died. Yesterday, Scottsdale police arresting the 4 men and woman they say were involved, recommending Husser, Becker, and Whitford be charged with aggravated assault, Molina with assault and disorderly conduct, and Meneses be charged with second-degree murder. He spoke out during his initial appearance before a judge.
It was a bad night. Things were not supposed to happen like that at all. And there was no malicious intent for that at all.
And we've learned Meneses has a prior felony conviction for aggravated assault for pointing a gun at a person back in 2019. He was sentenced to 1 year in jail and probation. He's now being held on a $1 million cash bond. We're in Scottsdale. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
Bianca, thank you. So let's take a legal deep dive into this case. Criminal defense attorney Hector Diaz is here. We just heard from Meneses saying there was no malicious intent in this, but yet after the first sucker punch, then, they go after the other 2 friends. Doesn't make sense. But regardless, what are your thoughts on what he was charged with? Second-degree murder, why not manslaughter?
I understand. I think the prosecutor in this case, we saw some of that discussion there, looked at how it occurred, that he sucker punched from behind. Defenseless, hands down to the side, and really no ability to even see this coming. So I think, his lawyers, if he has a lawyer, are going to look at, ultimately how, what was his intent? What were some of the issues that went in terms of, were there any arguing? Was there a fight? Anything like that? But sucker punching somebody who's defenseless like that, I understand why they went second degree.
Yeah, and from behind.
Right.
Okay, so apparently there was cell phone video of these attacks. I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry, right? You've got the evidence right there in front of you on camera. So, I mean, what would his defense be?
His lawyers are going to want to look at the totality of this, kind of what was going on. We, had a chance to read the probable cause statement, the police report here. And I think this group of alleged victims had some issue previously at a bar, where they were removed. And so, his counsel are going to want to look to see, were there any kinds of fights that were going on? What did they say? Did they instigate? Did they make any kind of verbal threats? But, the cell phone evidence, if it's describing what we just saw the prosecutor describe, it's going to be very difficult.
Okay, so we know just from what Bianca just said that Meneses has a record. He even served a year in jail. If convicted for this crime, what could he face?
Well, I mean, for second-degree murder, if he's ultimately indicted for that offense, it's 10 minimum to 25 on the top end. So, and the fact that he has a prior conviction, I mean, that could come into play in terms of where he falls in that range.
Okay. All right, Hector, thank you so much. Troy?